The split in the environmental movement would be the Paul Ehrlichs of the world. Think of the population bomb. Paul Ehrlich, Amory Lovins, who founded the Rocky Mountain Institute, lives up in, I think it's up in Aspen, in his compound that has solar, where he can maximize solar, and
right.
So he can afford it. People like Ron Binns. If you notice this, old white guys, really old white guys that don't want nuclear power. Paul Ehrlich actually said, and this was in response to the rise of nuclear energy in the early 70s. He was super concerned about it because he actually doesn't really like people, or doesn't seem to. He wrote, giving society cheap electricity is like giving an idiot child a machine gun. In other words, they're going to use it, and use it dangerously. They'll do things like, start a business, start a business,
start a factory.
Yeah, maybe take a vacation, maybe take a road trip, stuff like that. So Paul Ehrlich, they will prosper, they will thrive and prosper. Paul Ehrlich wasn't a huge fan of that, but there are those guys. So there is that divide in the environmental movement. You have the Sierra Club at odds with other groups that are pro-nuclear, that get that nuclear is going to be part of the solution. I'll tell you where I think you see the biggest divide, though. It's with a younger generation. It's younger voters. Younger voters who, can't afford, they can't afford to buy a house because, by the way, the energy that all these policies have driven up the price is going into the price of these homes, making them unaffordable.
When you say that, just for clarification, when you have to put in electric water heat, electric stoves, electric home heat, it's outrageously expensive, and a lot of the technology doesn't even really exist on any grand scale yet.
And also remember, energy isn't everything. So we're driving up the price of everything by driving up the price of energy. So they can't afford the new home, right? But they're enamored with new technology. They are completely plugged into everything. So they want their phone to be charged all the time. And for them, when they see nuclear, and they care about the environment, and they see nuclear and they go, why aren't we using this? They're the ones who are, they figured out the math themselves. They weren't exactly taught it, but they figured it out themselves. I think you'll see even among, say, young, even progressive left, Democrats, you will find them on the side of nuclear.
Because they can do the math.
They can do and it's important to them to have power. Power matters.
And they can have zero emissions electricity.
Right now,
everybody gets what they want. Say they want.
And that's why you look at the Sierra Club and others, and I'm going to throw it at the legislature. I do not think they actually care about emissions. I think they use emissions as a facade to build out wind and solar. And of course Xcel is going to do it. They've been given the authority to use the bank of the ratepayer to go in and
they get to there is no, when I started in this business of trying to push a more freedom-oriented agenda in Colorado, I always thought that the school unions were the 800-pound gorilla. I've come to realize that maybe it's the energy monopolies and their cronies in the new energy world that are really the 800-pound gorillas. Not only do they have power at the Gold Dome, in every city, in every county, Xcel has people working to make sure that they keep building.
Well, I'm no fan of Xcel Energy, but I will say this, having gone into other states, I've seen other utilities that they know they're in the reliability business, and that's important to them, that if the power goes out, their customers are angry, and rightfully so.
Or dead.
Or, this is actually a matter of life and death. People will die if they don't have power. So they're in that. Let me say this last. There are much better actors in that space. The unfortunate thing is Colorado doesn't have them.
Because we enable the bad actors.
Well, yeah.
Our legislators help them. Our regulators help them. All right, last question.
Okay.
All right, lady, what the hell do you want? I'm at the end of my whiskey. So, what is it you want in Colorado?
Oh,
What do you want them to pass? What do you want them to veto? What are you looking for?
It's not just me wanting them. Everyone in Colorado should be very concerned about grid reliability. And if the state does not put nuclear into statute and they don't start including reliable power, reliable sources in Xcel's portfolio mix, like nuclear, the only thing I can tell you, I have 2 generators at home. And they're different sources. One is a gasoline powered, and the other one is powered with very large solar panels. And so depending on what happens,
because you know that the reliability is going down. It reminds me so much of all the science fiction movies. You know, the astronomer is looking, doing the calculations, going, that comet is crashing in here, and we're going to kill everybody if we don't do something. Yeah, sure, Professor. We'll study that. But you do this, and you realize there is not enough electricity for Colorado. There will be rolling blackouts.
Yes.
And people are going to be buying. I've got a generator, and it powers by gasoline or natural gas. And oh, wait a second, those are the fossil fuels, and that's the worst way to generate power.
So right. And so I think about Lois Talktrop back from the fuel switching wars.
Right.
Lois Talktrop, who Democrat, we all love Lois, Blue Dog Democrat from Adams County, who went on the floor of the Senate during the fuel switching battle and said, I'm going to invest in Snuggies because that's all my constituents are going to be able to afford.
If I'm hearing you right, you would like the legislature to include nuclear energy as a renewable source?
No, it's not a renewable. I would say nuclear energy should be considered a clean source of power, and it should be one that Xcel should be including its portfolio. If they do not do that, and the state continues on this path to 100% renewables, the infrastructure is going to falter.
That.
It just will. All you have to do is think about what happened in Texas, where 226 people died, 246 people died.
But they say, that was a fault of natural gas.
Two things. One is that wind and solar fell off because they're weather dependent. The other thing is, I'm a huge fan of natural gas, but it's an on-time resource, and if you can't get fuel through the pipeline, you have no power.
Which is harder to do when it's cold. For people to understand that, I started saying coal is reliable because you have 90 days supply on site.
Right.
So if the train tracks blow up, if the supply doesn't work, you have 3 months to fix it. Natural gas
isn't on time.
If the pipes go down, electricity goes down. Sun goes down, wind goes down. But good old-fashioned coal and nuclear
are on. And I'm going to say this about natural gas. The other issue with natural gas right now, and I don't think so much in Colorado, but in other states, and it will become a factor. Well, Colorado, it'll depend, is that we don't have the pipeline infrastructure to deliver enough natural gas. So, for instance, in North Carolina, the one pipeline is already fully subscribed. You can't build more natural gas unless you get the pipeline. Guess who's keeping the pipeline from getting? It's the environmental left, the same ones that didn't want Comanche to stay open for its full life cycle. They also are trying to keep natural gas from getting to power plants and getting to homes.
They want us to freeze to death.
They want you on an energy starvation diet. That's why I say, get your generator. So short of that, I have 2 generators at our house in Colorado, 2 in my house in North Carolina.
Thank you for that uplifting talk.